The EFF says all members who failed to meet the party's mandate for its 10th birthday bash must resign immediately. Now, several party officials failed to organize transport for supporters to attend the event at the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg last month.
The CCT has therefore resolved to recall all public representatives who failed to meet the organizational mandate and obligation in relation to the EFF 10th anniversary rally. The recall means that all councillors, members of provincial legislatures, members of parliament who failed to organize for and pay for buses for the 10th anniversary celebration must resign from positions of their deployment with immediate effect. This resolution is in line with Section 14, subsection 9 of the EFF Constitution, which says, I quote, "The CCT has the power to recall any deployee of the organization from any position of deployment, including deployment as public representatives."
Let's stay with the EFF leader who has also hit out at the Reserve Bank after it cleared President Cyril Ramaphosa of any wrongdoing in the Phala Phala matter. He says the party plans to approach the courts.
In South Africa, state institutions are being abused in protection of one individual, a compromised head of state who is also a money launderer. We reject with contempt the South African Reserve Bank cover-up of the Phala Phala crimes and unlawful smuggling and usage of foreign currencies. We will take the South African Reserve Bank report on Phala Phala dollars to court for judicial review because there is evidently an attempt to cover up the crimes committed in Phala Phala, and state institutions are being abused in protection of the outgoing President of South Africa.
Well, let's discuss this now, and I'm joined by political analyst Professor Andre Duvenhage, who is with the University of the Northwest. Prof, good morning to you, and thank you for your time. I'm going to latch on to those last few words of the EFF leader who says there is evidently an attempt to cover up the crimes committed at Phala Phala, and in the process, state institutions are being abused in an effort to protect their president. Do you agree with his observation?
Well, I'm not always agreeing with Mr. Malema, but I think in this case there are evidence that need to be clarified. And this against the backdrop of a South African Reserve Bank that is very much have a history of independence. They are fighting inflation. They have a very clean record in terms of their work with regard to finances. But in this case, there are really some questions. The big question to me is they investigate the whole Phala Phala matter, but then they bring a report forward and they made it a closed report. So no one can get access to precisely what happened. On I value, it seems that there should be a problem. If there's somewhere about $60 million that is not accounted through by the Reserve Bank, it seems to be a problem. And I'm 100% sure in terms of the independence of the judiciary that it is necessary not only for the EFF but also for other institutions and other opposition parties to take this process forward and to investigate this in a proper way. We are entering a very important, very critical election. The president of the country is probably the most influential and most critical figure in the upcoming 2024 elections. Yeah. And therefore, it is important to clarify him or to find him guilty some way or another before the election.
You invoke the word independence, Professor, and the EFF leader says the Reserve Bank governor has not only destroyed his own reputation, but also that of the institution he leads. I want to latch on this word independence. Are you suggesting in any way that the Reserve Bank may not acted with the independence that is expected of them?
In terms of the criterion of transparency. And I believe in a democratic system, and we give ourselves out as a democracy, it is possible to get access to information. But currently, under the Ramaphosa administration, we have seen a number of incidents ending up in closed reports. The other one is the Lady R incident. Now, I am very much concerned that when it comes to the finances, and there's strong legislation with regard to lifestyle audits and implicating the president of the country, then we need to clarify the matter. We cannot send out a report saying we clear the president, but we are not going to bring this in the open and account to the people why we are clearing the president. I think the people of South Africa need to have insight into what is going on, and in that sense, the South African Reserve Bank didn't act in an independent way. I would not like to use the word not lack of integrity, but there is something in this regard. And Julius Malema used the word career opportunism, implicating that Lesetla Kganyago may aim for the position of Minister of Finance. Now, I won't go that way, but I think the report needs to be in the open, and the President needs to clarify his own position before the 2024 elections, and if he is not doing so, then political parties need to take the necessary action. In that sense, the EFF is right. I believe the DA has a similar case they would like to open.
Two quick final questions to you, Professor, before we end the conversation. The first one is, when the report, or should we say the statement, the media statement was put out by the Reserve Bank expressing what it is that they have come to, in that same statement, he says he is going to be appearing before Parliament, and that is where he is going to explain himself and, I suppose, the team that investigated this. Is that enough when we use the word transparency? Will that appease South Africans?
No, that is not enough. The core principle of a democracy is what we call the trias politica, or the three lines of power: legislative, judiciary, and executive. And for Kganyago to go to Parliament, he will be confronted by a mechanism of decision-making where the role of the majority party is decisive. So at the end of the day, the ANC as a party will decide about the merit or the demerit of whatever will be said. I believe that is not enough. We need to get an independent position outside of the ANC. And therefore, I believe a court is the proper place, or maybe another institution. They can also report to Parliament and discuss it on that level. But if this ends up in a majority decision just favoring the President, it's not going to be enough. The report needs to be open, and the ordinary citizen need to have access to the info in this regard.
Final question, Prof. You've made reference to the 2024 elections that are coming up, and it then suggests that if the President does not come out publicly to explain himself on this, this may possibly be used as political fodder, and I suspect that's where you are going with this. But let me add one quick element to it, just to, I think, buttress what the actions of the President have been over time. This is an observation, at least on my part, when he made the commitment, publicly by the way, that he was going to go to the widows in Marikana and talk to them face to face, he mentioned that, of course, with the court processes around this, once they have been attended to and possibly put to bed, then I will go there. We know that that remains a process that is ongoing. Does the president make himself a victim here by not coming out to do the things that he says or the things that he commits to, and by so doing he opens himself up politically for the opposition to attack him, particularly as the country leads to the crucial elections in 2024?
Generally speaking, I think your observation is correct. I think Mr. Ramaphosa has a case to argue that the whole case in the aluminium case is still sub judice, and that he cannot go and speak to people. I can understand that. But then we have another problem when it comes to court cases. Court cases do not come to an end, as we have seen with Jacob Zuma. It seems as if the ANC masters the strategy of Stalingrad in order to escape legal processes. But your general point is generally correct by arguing that the president put himself in a position where he is vulnerable, that opposition parties can attack him. And I believe that the Phala Phala thing is not sorted yet. It is going to have an influence on the election campaign, and this may reflect negatively on the president himself. I have no doubt that the EFF is not going to leave the process there, and I also believe that Ramaphosa is not playing the political game where he is always supposed playing it, and that is going to come back negative to him in the coming election. Thereby, I'm not arguing that the ANC is necessarily going to lose the elections, but they are going to lose the support, and the position of the president, who is already not that easy, may become more difficult.
Professor Andre Duvenhage is a political analyst attached to the University of the Northwest. Thank you very much for your time and analysis there, Professor.